the sun and traffic hour. I'm really bad at deciding when I should take the bike out. About 2 hours ago, it was really nice and warm out. Now it's getting cold. The sun's already going down because it's like 4 o'clock here. I don't actually know what time it is. But I had to play Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which you guys will have already seen a video on. I actually had an idea to do a teaser, right? For Ride, and I was going to make everybody wait another week until I did an episode. And I was just going to kneel down in the grass in front of the sun and be like, praise the sun! And then say like, Motovlogs, returning next week. But I didn't have the heart to tease you guys. I feel like it's not right. As much fun as it would have been, it's not right. So I came out here today not really having any idea as to what I was actually going to talk about. I'll be completely honest. But then I thought about it while I was sitting at that intersection before I started talking. It was like, oh yeah, you know what? Dark Souls has had me thinking quite a bit actually, Dark Souls 3 specifically, about how I always say, you know, games are supposed to be fun. But I use that word in a very general sense, because there's actually a lot of things for me that provide fun. And they're often terms that aren't really usually connected with the word fun. For example, frustration, difficulty, challenging. Those are all things that in some ways can be fun, if you know what I mean. And I think Dark Souls is a prime example of that. It's a game that tests you, it challenges you. It really looks at your abilities and your understanding in the game, and it says, hey, you know what, if you're not good enough at this, we're just going to punish you for that. And there are people who get satisfaction from that. You know, that's kind of where that term masochism comes from, I guess. And that to me is fun, you know? Games don't always have to make me smile in order for me to be having fun. You know, sometimes I can sit there and just be concentrating to such a great level that when I walk away I have a headache. And that still can be considered enjoyment. And that still could be considered something that brought me a form of satisfaction, you know? It didn't necessarily mean that I had a smile on my face. We're gonna go left. I don't actually know where I'm going today. You know, I didn't have to have a smile on my face that directly correlated to me actually being happy. You know, I could be, I don't know, in a state of flux. I could be thinking, I could be considering things, I could be struggling with something from a mental perspective. That still provides fun to me. The only time you can appear to be enjoying a video game is when you're smiling and laughing. That's BS, you know? Because enjoyment in video games can come in many forms, and it doesn't always mean that the outcome is you having a smile on your face. Are there games that make me smile? Yeah, hell yeah. And there are moments in games that make me smile. That doesn't mean that that's the only reason I play video games, and I think a lot of people can agree with that. Some of us enjoy a challenge. We enjoy being put to the test. And that in itself is part of what makes video games fun, quote unquote. For lack of a better way of saying it, I guess. Where am I? Oh, okay, I know where I am now. This is not a bad way. We can kind of like wrap around from where we came, but let's not get stuck at the red light. My concern right now with the Harley is that I've done a lot of things this summer. My dad and I bled the brakes, you know, things are in good shape already this spring, but it still just has that nasty overheating problem. And I know it has a lot to do with the carburetor, and I'm just not skilled with Harley carburetors apparently. Because no matter how much tweaking and cleaning and replacing of jets that we do, like if the bike has an overheating problem that I can't seem to deal with. And it's not like it ever gets that hot, but it's enough where it's causing it to shut down, it bogs out, you gotta pull over on the side of the road for 15 minutes. And it's preventing me from doing a lot of longer drives on the bike, which is a little bit upsetting. So I don't know, it's one of those things I really have to dig into this summer. I'm hoping I'll have the free time. That's always the thing, right? I'm hoping I'll have the free time. And you know, that theory I'm talking about, you know, what brings us enjoyment in the fact that you don't always have to be directly having fun to enjoy something, that obviously translates all throughout life, you know? It's not just video games. Like the frustration of troubleshooting a carburetor on a motorcycle or on a car can bring extreme satisfaction and enjoyment to someone. They may not be smiling while it's happening, but that doesn't mean that they're not... I almost lost my gas cap! Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that doesn't mean that they're not enjoying themselves, you know? It's human nature, well, at least for most of us, that, you know, challenges bring satisfaction. Despite any sort of emotions, negative or otherwise, that we have on the road to that satisfaction, challenging things bring us satisfaction. There's a lot of layers to look at that, you know, with that. But I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about because there are those number of people who always will try and say, oh, I don't play Dark Souls because I don't want to be frustrated. Well, you know what? Frustration sometimes is a key part to feel, you know, to what makes something so enjoyable. I would say, you know, I'd go as far as to say is that everything has some level of frustration in it. And if it doesn't, then usually there's very little satisfaction to be had. And that is literally just a thought for life, man, because that applies to everything under the frickin' sun. Relationships, raising a dog, raising a child, running a business, fixing a tire, working on a vehicle, I mean, painting everything, you know? And you can have a really positive outlook and make it seem as if those challenges don't really exist. And I think if we look to Bob Ross, great example of that, right? You know, he's somebody who took painting and sort of tore away all the difficulty from it. There's no doubt it took him a great period of time to get to that, to find a place where he was like, this, you know, I just like doing this for this. And those things exist and they can still bring you satisfaction, but he worked hard to get to that point. And that's the case with anything that someone is particularly good at. You know, you have to work hard to get past the frustrations that an average person would deal with on a regular basis. And you can sort of strip that away mentally. I think it always exists, but mentally you can strip that away. And you can be left with a much more pure experience from an enjoyment perspective. That was a whole lot of crazy talk, wasn't it? It's so true though, you know, right? Everybody I think thinks that way. It is actually why I get frustrated with people who aren't willing to face a greater challenge, you know? Especially as people get older, they feel like, oh, I'm just too old. Like, that's the number one thing humans like to say. And that's the biggest line of bullshit that anyone will ever give you in your entire life. And people like that, you really just have to look at them and you have to be like, no, dude, you can't look at life that way, man. You're giving up so much. You're giving up so many opportunities, so much potential to live your life to a really full state. We're going. So don't ever have that mindset, no matter what age you are, no matter how old you get. I think it's important to maintain the idea that challenges will always be something that is a part of your life. And you shouldn't avoid them, you should just take them head on and be like, I'm gonna make you my bitch. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna be the king on the top of the hill, you know, the knight in the castle, so on and so forth. I think this has turned out to be a really great first Motovlog of the season discussion. Nothing that made any sort of actual sense, but was definitely fun to talk about, at least from my perspective. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I think a lot of you will understand what I'm saying, despite all of the rambling and the in-betweens. So, you know, take that as you will, and let me know what you think about it. I mean, what thing in your life on a regular basis challenges you, frustrates you, makes you feel every other emotion other than direct happiness and enjoyment, but at the end of the day still grants you satisfaction and enjoyment? Share it with me down in the comment section below. I definitely want to hear from you guys. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this ride. It looks like it's actually gonna start raining soon because that's Buffalo, and 1 minute it's beautiful and the next minute it's raining. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, and I almost forgot. Praise the sun!